Jack, thanks for taking the time to talk to us about your family investment into Lincoln City. How does it feel to be not just a fan, but part of the investor group?
It's pretty amazing, honestly. I mean, I grew up obviously, well, I was born in Lincoln. I grew up there pretty much until my motorsport career took me to other parts of the world. I mean, I always come back to Lincoln. It's still where my entire family live, my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law. And they've made even more concrete roots since my nephew has been born. So I've always been super pro Lincoln. I know it's not the biggest town in the UK, but I've always just generally been very pro and proud of Lincoln and Lincolnshire, and obviously being such a big sports fan, as well as it being my career and what has been my entire life, to be able to have had the opportunity to build the relationship with Harvey and Missy and his entire family was a very organic um was a very organic thing. At no point did I think we'd ever be buying into the club in any capacity. And then ultimately just had a conversation with Harvey, and I asked him about some of his other involvements and what he does, and it just sparked the idea. So then one day I just said to him, "Hey, like I think I would be interested in doing this. It would mean a lot to be ever so tiny, tiny, tiny part of my hometown team, but also to show everybody that we're prepared to give back to our local community, to support our local community and whatever that looks like." And then I told my parents about what I wanted to do, and they thought it was a good idea as well. So, we all jumped in at the same point for the same amount. And then at that point, we ultimately just wanted to try and be involved, but also make it something a little bit meaningful. So hopefully the club can continue to flourish. And also the club helps, as we all know, really generate that local community. And it's an anchor point for this local community. And we're just really proud to be a part of it.
You mentioned your relationship with the Jabera family. That's grown organically. They came to watch you racing. I've seen you in the boardroom with them chatting. Just kind of what does that relationship with the whole family mean to you?
They're just brilliant people, honestly. Like first and foremost, I consider them just great friends. And I know that's cheesy and it sounds very interview appropriate answer, but in this scenario, it is absolutely the truth. I met Harvey and Missy literally at a game. I didn't know they were going to be there. I didn't, like we hadn't met at that point. And actually, it was Liam was the one who invited us to the game. He saw that I was back from America and we were in the boardroom and then just happened to meet, immediately connected. And I know that they're based in America and that's where I'm based at the moment. I know they're race fans, so it was, they already had a little bit of an understanding of what it was that I was doing and who I was. I don't think they understood really that I was from Lincoln. So I think for them seeing me in the boardroom the first time, it was a little bit of a like, wait, what are you doing here? Kind of scenario. And then as we've chatted, you just build that relationship. And I just think him and Missy and Jensen and Jackson, I mean, they're just great people. And like I said, I consider them to be great friends. They've been to two Indy 500s now to watch. Missy and Harvey came this year, but then the whole family came, the previous year. So I would say, although this relationship's evolving and now it's branching out into actual ownership, very tiny, tiny part ownership of the club. He's invited me to a Padres game, whenever I can get to San Diego. And these are just great friends and just lucky really that I have such cool people in my life to be able to learn from and, have great conversation with. And last time I was back, we ended up going to the Duke William at the top of the Bailgate, and before that, we went to the Botanist. So I mean, these are just people that are actually just like to hang out with. Just an added bonus that they're involved in a lot of cool projects that seemingly they're happy that people share in the adventure with.
You mentioned the Indy 500 there, so the Jaberas came to watch you. This year, you had a very special helmet as well.
I did. Yeah, I had the imp on the top of the helmet, like right above the visor in two different spots. Actually, a few years ago as well, when the club got promoted, we actually put on like a congrats sticker for that as well. So I mean, whenever the opportunity has arisen that I can, really show that my support of the club is one of just a genuine fan first and foremost, and try and spread the word just about how well they've been doing recently. We've always taken that opportunity, and partly the reason for putting the imp on there this year was to continue to show that we had a space available. I didn't have any you know, sponsor to put there. And at that point, I was proud that to put the imp there to show that, my support for the club, but also my support for Lincoln. And to be honest, my support for Lincoln is my biggest driving point. That's the one that motivates me the most. Obviously, being involved in sports and loving sports so much, pivoting towards Lincoln City as a club makes sense. But ultimately, any opportunity that I get to really support, promote, and be a part of our Lincoln community, I always dive in and try and take it.
What is it like following Lincoln City from so far away?
It's pretty tough to be honest, man, because like so many of our weekends, I'm busy either racing or also doing part of my job this year, which is in the IndyCar broadcast team, whether I'm actually commentating on the Indy Next race or whether I'm a pit lane reporter for the IndyCar race. So, that coupled with the time zone change, depending on which part of America I'm even in, sometimes can be tough. I end up following it through, honestly, mostly I follow it through Twitter, actually, like when the live, reports are coming through. And that's where I go to when I want the immediate score or, what's happening. And obviously then I see it later through social media on Instagram and whatnot. I guess I said Twitter, but I meant X. Um, and then if I'm at home on a weekend where I'm not racing or doing anything like that, I stream the games. So I think that's probably the important part that, I've got family members who have got season tickets right now. Several family members have season tickets. A lot of my family go to the games. So for us, this was also a great way for us as a family to unite and bond over Lincoln City. And what's great for me is being able to come and obviously watch it in person. But when I'm not there, I do still, really try and make the effort to whether to stream it, follow it on socials or whatever. So I mean, it's this has been a very unique adventure, for me, for my parents to dive into something like this. But, whether I'm streaming it on my laptop and, displaying it on my TV or watching it live, every time they win, it makes me like so happy.
You mentioned your new role this season with the broadcast, covering races, photography and races. How have you found that changing role?
It's definitely been a bit of an adjustment. I'm still obviously trying to compete as many races as we can, ideally in IndyCar, but we've also been looking at sports car for reference for people. That would be the 24 hour of Le Mans, 24 hours of Daytona, 12 hours of Sebring, etc. The races that we've been targeting outside of the Indy 500, but obviously the 500 is one race or 1 month, and I like to be busy. So when I saw that Fox were taking over the broadcasting of IndyCar, I reached out to them and just said, "Hey, this looks like a project that I think I'd be excited to be involved with." And then we just kind of kept that conversation going, and they offered me a job. I guess they liked me enough to offer me a job. Um, it's hard being at the racetrack and not actually driving, which I mean, I assume for any footballer who's at a game just watching you obviously wish you out either kicking the ball or being behind the wheel. That being said, I am a community person and I love the community that I have in America with IndyCar and being in the paddock because that's where a lot of my friends are, whether they're drivers or sponsors or just mates. It's been really quite good fun, like even more fun than I was expecting. But there is a painful side of it where I'm just watching, not driving.